I've done most of the things that
The student advocate is effectively the campus public defender, charged with aiding students by providing representation and advice to any student or student group involved in a dispute with the university. The candidates for student advocate are Sarah Giong-Squelch, Hassan Khan, and Marlisa Thomas of Defend Affirmative Action.
And the first question is, what are your qualifications for the position of student advocate?
Okay, first of all, I have 3 years. I'm actually a freshman right now, but I have 3 years in high school. I was actually a student activist in high school under a school side council, and I actually talked to the Board of Education, the district office, faculty members including the principal, vice principal, counselors, and things of that sort, and also security guards and things of that sort as well, in order to defend the rights of students and in order to actually not only defend the rights of students, but talk on behalf of them. And I actually organized a lot of petitions and things of that sort as well. And again, that was for 3 years. And I'm also a political organizer under BAM. And we actually just organized under Oscar grants. So I think that the student advocate, being a student advocate, also should include being a student activist, and I am qualified for that.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Hassan.
Hi guys. So I have worked in the Student Advocate's office for the past 2.5 years. I currently serve as the Chief of Staff under Matt DiMartini. And in those past 2.5 years, I've served as a conduct caseworker, meaning I've worked directly with the Office of Student Conduct and the Dean of Students on issues relating to student rights and the student code of conduct process. For example, for the past year, I've been meeting with Karen Wern over at the Dean of Students office, and we've been going through the code of conduct line by line to make sure that it's fair and equitable for all students. We're also looking to revise the current hearing process, which we believe is highly unfair for students, because most students who go to the hearing process tend to just have the decision thrown back in their face without any changes. I've also started outreach with UCPD to work with UCPD on projects in which we would have oversight of complaints that go towards the UCPD. And I have a pretty good general working knowledge of what's required of the student advocate, because I've worked in the office for so long that I've seen what previous student advocates have done, and I've seen areas where they've made mistakes and areas in which they can improve. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah?
I am qualified because for the past 4 semesters I have been graphics editor of the heuristic Squelch. And as you all know, moving objects in Photoshop, like a pixel to the left, is very similar to being a student advocate. Like the qualifications are very similar. The degree of knowledge, precision, experience, it's pretty much the same, you know. You could even say there's a biconditional between the two. But I think that I really want to question the legitimacy of this question in this forum. Because if anyone needed to be qualified, why would this position be up for election in the first place by a largely disinterested student population who only votes for their friends, or who manage to message them on Facebook? To a large extent, maybe this system works, and this farce of asking me this question of how I am qualified is really just okay, because everyone knows that the person with endorsed by SA and CS on the ballot as their nickname is going to win, because no one gives a shit. But and also because he was assistant to the former whatchamacallit, this office that I'm running for that I forgot because I drank too much before I came here. But, whatever. Maybe you guys should be asking this question of why we're having this farcical fucking election in the first place. To elect people who, for instance, a person who has never been a senator to executive VP, like what happened in the last election. Why does experience matter? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why any of this exists. I don't know why I'm here anymore. I've forgotten everything I've said in the last minute. All right, I think I'm done.
Okay, thank you. On to our second question. The order for this question is Hassan, Sarah, and then Marlisa. Hassan. question is, how would you improve or better publicize the services that are offered by the Student Advocate's Office so that more students utilize them? Again, how would you improve or better publicize the services that are offered by the Student Advocate's Office so that more students utilize them?
That's actually a really important question because if you stand up and sproul and tell people that the Student Advocate's Office is there for you if you need help, people tend to not listen because most of the time they aren't in trouble. And in my experience working in the office for the past 2 years, people tend not to think about the office until they've actually gotten in trouble, until they need help with student conduct, until a professor gives them a bad grade, until they need help with their financial aid application. And by that time it's too late because they didn't pay attention to us when we were out on Sproul in the first place. So what Matt and I have been working on in the past year has been to establish programs in which we're doing more outreach to students. That means that the student advocate should be out and educating students on what their rights are, letting them know what services are provided by the student advocate on a daily basis, not just focusing on casework in which students come in only when they need help, but also working on outreach programs with UCPD, with the Dean of Students on student rights, and on the hearing process, so that there's a constant presence of the student advocate on campus, and students constantly know what the student advocate is working on. And if they know all of the things that the student advocate is working on, and they know how the student advocate can help them, it won't be just that the people with the pens or people who are working for you when you come into them with a problem. It'll be the people that are working for you on a daily basis to help you improve your experience here as a student at the university.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sarah.
The way that I would advertise the use of the Office of the Student Advocate and what it can be for the students would be really not to do it at all, because why I'm running for this position is because the student advocate is supposed to protect the students through legal means. And I think that the one body, the one sort of entity that has harmed students the most in association with the university has been the ASUC. In conjunction with the university, they've defrauded the students of millions of dollars over the past 100+ years. They've harassed the students in the ASUC, senators, forcing them to stay up until 2 in the morning or so, discussing terrible non-binding resolutions that have to do with foreign policy and nothing to do with actual student matters. They have caused financial harm, they've caused bodily harm, and they've caused emotional distress. If you've noticed all the people crying as they walk away from you as you try to flyer them on Sproul today. I think that we should sue the ASUC, and I will do that if I am voted student advocate. I will fucking sue the ASUC, and I will sue them for every penny that has been extorted out of students for the past 100+ years. I think it's 122. I don't know. I don't give a shit. But I will sue them for all that money, and with that, the ASUC will collapse financially, especially in this economic environment, and what with them having overspent too much already this past year. And once the ASUC has collapsed, we will be free, and everyone will be happy. The Student Advocate's Office will also have collapsed, and I won't have to advertise their services anyway, so fuck that. If the suit shouldn't succeed, I will have used the money from the ASUC to fund my prosecution, and they will use the money to fund their defense. So they're going to collapse anyways, so fuck it. And if you say, like, what's the point of all that? What if you don't get elected? Well, the way things are headed, looks like they're going to collapse anyway, so whatever. I don't give a shit. All right.
Can you repeat the question?
Actually, I only reviewed the questions twice.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so as a student advocate, I definitely think that it's important to expand the role of student advocates. So that's something I would definitely improve. And the way in which I would do that is by, allowing the student advocate, like I said in my first answer, to become a student activist. And I would mobilize the students, I would educate the students, and I would allow them to see what their rights are and what their rights need to be. So I definitely think that one of the first things I would do is try to restore students having the right to have a lawyer. Because right now they're not able to actually have an attorney in university cases. Something in which I think needs to be restored in order to restore agency in the students' hands, in order to restore power and things of that sort. So I would do that, and I would also really try to focus on what the students want, because I, being the student activist, basically, would try to talk to them in order to actually understand what their problems are, what they need from me, and how I can defend their rights, what they're doing, you know, because aside from like housing and financial aid problems being expelled, I also think that, you know, like sexual harassment is something that needs to be addressed that perhaps maybe the student advocate doesn't really deal with, or maybe increase minority enrollment, or perhaps maybe the DREAM Act or something like that. You know, students without papers, do they feel protected? Can the student advocate actually protect them? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, those are all the questions for student advocate. Thank you, candidates.